said, I mean, there's no one like me. Trying deep down, you. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Paris Hart, and you're tuning into another episode of the Love With It podcast. Today, we have one of the dopest designers in the game. Let me tell y'all, if this guy designs any part of your outfit, it'll instantly change it from a 3 to a 9. Whether it's the shoes, the shirts, the hoodies, the sweats, whatever it is, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. Today, we got B-More's very own Sierato.
What's going on, my man? What's up?
So first things first, Baltimore is the only place in my life where someone has called me stupid and dummy. And I was getting heated. I was mad, and they're like, no, that's just what it is. That's what it is. So being from Baltimore, what's that environment like?
I mean, it's different. I mean, Baltimore is kind of one of those places where it just really depends on where you are. From block to block, it might change. What you got to do and how you got to act. But as long as you act appropriately, act correctly, and know where you at, it's really no problems around here. So, like I said, just if you hear that dummy or whatever, that just means that somebody knows you and they say what's up. So don't worry about it.
That and Baltimore, I gotta say it. Baltimore, I met the realest people. Like, they'll tell you how it is. It reminds me of New York a lot. And big ups to Baltimore. I'm not gonna lie to you though. The people I was with, they had me driving around at night. They're like, yo, this is this block, this is this block. They told me like this is Park Heights. I was like, nah, I gotta get out of Dodge. So
Nah, it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad unless you out there acting and making a scene about it. You'll be fine. Don't let it scare you. It ain't the wire around here no more.
That's so like what being from Baltimore, like what was your support system like from getting into designing to where you are now?
So I always had a pretty well-rounded support system for the most part. I mean, obviously, I come from a family where nobody was an artist. Period. My actually, I shouldn't say nobody. My aunts and my grandmother, who had a big hand in raising me when I was younger, they are actually big time artists themselves that do pieces for museums and sell collections and stuff like that. So they kind of got that kind of ball rolling for me, and then put a pencil and a sketchbook in my hand at 7 years old or whatever. And I started doing my Dragon Ball Z characters and other stuff like that I wanted to draw and figure it out. So that kind of got me into it and kind of snowballed me into where we ended up today. But in between that, getting to from there to today, the support system has always been, relatively, strong. It's one of those things where, you choose to do this in life, you don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to pan out. So you got to have that self, confidence in yourself, that 100% belief that you can make it happen and that you can do it. If, as long as you see somebody else doing it, there's no reason you can't do it too if you put the work in. So my parents always had that approach, even though they're judges and lawyers and they're academics. So they're not really into the whole tattoos and art thing. But, luckily I kind of slow rolled that ball down the hill a little bit, getting my tattoo apprenticeship and tattooing professionally for a couple of years straight out of college after I dropped out. So they had their shock up front. So telling them I was going from that to painting shoes now wasn't really that big of a stretch. They were just like, all right, well, see what you can do. So like I said, I just did what I got to do. And then, you hit 1 million views on your first or second video on YouTube and they pretty much stop asking questions at that point. So once it starts bringing a check in, then, it's all good. So as long as you keep that check rolling, you got something to work with.
Facts. It just I appreciate you talking about that because like I dropped out of school to chase music and my family is like my dad's a principal, my mom's a nurse. So when they saw me do that, they were like, man, what the hell are you doing? Are you sure you want to do this? Like, college could get a career, college could get this or that. But I just praise and give you your flowers for like just pursuing that because that's one of the hardest things that a lot of people don't understand is that first step of saying, I got to go against the grain. I got to make sure that this is what I want to do and this is what makes me happy. So I'm gonna work for it. So to really prove that you were gonna do it and like, okay, like this is what I'm gonna do. What was that switch like of okay, like college isn't on my plate anymore. Now it's 100% into designing and into getting it done.
I mean, I sort of had a kind of, I don't want to say easier way to kind of make that decision. Just because one, I actually started tattooing people out of my dorm room in college. So I was kind of already like, that's kind of what I wanted to do. I was kind of trying to find a way to make a college degree help facilitate me doing what I already wanted to do at that point. So it wasn't really so much of when I dropped out, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. It was more so of, all right, now how do we do it for real? I don't want to be in my dorm room scratching people up. I want to learn, how do you do this for real? How do you take it seriously? And how do you make real money at it? I want to be like the Nico Hurtados. I want to be like the, Steve Butchers. I want to be like the top end of the tattoo world. How do you do that? You got to get consensus, you got to hit the convention circuit. You got to, work in shops, well-known shops. You got to get on the gram and start putting your product out there and build a brand. So really all the things I transitioned into doing for shoes, I was kind of trying to do for tattooing at first. I just realized that shoes is a lane I could take it in where I didn't have to work with people so much every day. I don't have to hear nonsense and people crying and screaming and whatever. And I got to do more of what I wanted to do. I could control what I wanted. You can't really tell somebody else that you're going to tattoo them with whatever you want to tattoo them with. So, it was much easier for me to go ahead and grab that sneaker and, see guys like Delano and guys like Kikaso and guys like Mosh, out there putting in work, hand and shoes of LeBron on Google. And I'm like, dang, if they can do that, there's no reason I can't do that, right? Like I can take all this detail work I've learned to do with this tattoos, on a much more serious basis and tailor it to something that I can do, in my basement and start slow rolling the ball down the hill and, build that snowball up and, grow it as best as possible. So like I said, I went to the gym way more than I went to class. So I was already on probation after the first semester. And after the second one, I already knew I was out of there. So it was really just, what are you going to do now? Because, if you ain't going to school, parents said you got to pay some rent. So if I'm going to pay that rent, I'm going to do it with something that I already know I can make money at and I want to make money at. And I know if it doesn't feel like a job, it's going to be much easier for you to make that transition into that working career mode, putting your 10,000 hours in and earning your stripes basically. So like I said, tattooing I was doing for free. It was already something I wanted to do. So I knew that was a way to transition. And then it was an easier transition from that into shoes. So it kind of just all worked together.
Dang, when you realize that, like, okay, from just drawing in my sketchbook, like tattoos a jump for me. And like, was there something that clicked in your head from, okay, like just on a canvas to, okay, now I want to do tattoos. Now I want to get this ball rolling. And now I want to show other people like, hey, I could be more than just creative on a paper. I could be creative on this canvas as well.
Yeah, I think that was mostly just because of interviews, mostly because of influences from, guys like, when I was coming up, I mean, I hit college when I had to start making these life decisions. So yeah, I mean, making that transition wasn't too hard or too difficult. I was getting that influence from watching music videos on BET and MTV back when that used to be really all they really did, or at least mostly what they did. Watching Lil Wayne and watching. I was huge in high school. I was huge into Wiz Khalifa. So, ink my whole body up was a whole thing. And I was like, yo, as soon as I get out here in the streets, I'm going to get inked up too. So, so of course, I had to, go down that route. So the first people I wanted to draw were people that had tattoos. So, I was doing portrait pieces of, Lil Wayne, and I was doing portrait pieces of, Yellow Wolf and, MGK and, all these dudes with all these full body suits basically of, tattoos. And I was, trying to see how small can I draw this and get all these tattoos as close to accurate as possible. And realize you can do that isn't much far of a, isn't much removed from actually tattooing at that point. So, so I figured that finally, go ahead and go out here, hit these. Took me 30, 40 different shops to go into and bringing my sketchbook around to try to find an apprenticeship with somebody that would actually teach me correctly. So, going around doing that whole grind, getting in a shop, actually doing my apprenticeship and really getting the ball rolling and actually starting to put ink on people was a whole thing in of itself. But like I said, getting over that hurdle made jumping from there into shoes much easier because I've already made that life pivot once or twice. I already know how to do it and how to operate. So it wasn't too difficult.
Dang. And speaking of that, your style is like, even Googling you in Sierato, like so many people have been influenced by your artwork. And like, you have people saying, hey, like, this is how he does it. This is how, like, it's a step-by-step tutorial, almost like they're showing them how you would do it. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy seeing the influence that you've had on the creative. So when did you know, like, okay, I've got my foot in this. I'm moving, and this is the way for me.
I think the first moment was kind of a semi funny. Well, it's kind of a couple of first moments. It was kind of like the first bites at the apple. Like you kind of get that taste of like, all right, like there's something going on here. If I keep, doing the same thing here, maybe we get the bigger and better things here. So my first bite at the apple, I actually opened up a kiosk in the mall and I was selling my stuff out front of Zoomies or whatever, selling t-shirts and whatever stuff we could come up with, me and my old business partner. And, we ran out of stuff, we had nothing to put on the stand. So I had to put these shoes up there to fill that thing out, or they were going to find me every single day that they had empty space on this thing. So, I'm not trying to get fined $500 a day to do this when we're not making money anyway. You know what I'm saying? So let me put this up here, put some shoes up here, start rolling it. And then the first thing that really happened was, I got contacted by, you get managers, you get, business owners walking through the mall and whatnot. And, one of the daytime managers at Nordstrom saw the pieces walking by and was like, yo, do you want to do an event at Nordstrom and, come up here and paint a bunch of Uggs, and, put you in a desk in front of the thing or whatever. People, every time they buy an Ugg, they'll come over here and they'll get something made or whatever, right? So I was like, all right, let me see what this looks like. I've never done an event. I've never done anything like this. So I go in there, I do that. I get my first check handed to me. Boom, there you go. This is the first real amount of money I've made off of shoes or whatever. First, what was it, like $500 check or whatever. And I'm sitting here like, I just paid my rent, today or whatever. And this one check, I was like, there's got to be other ways I can do this too, right? And then about 2 or 3 days later, I had my first Ravens player walk past the stand, asked me to make his cleats for him. Those cleats went to I think the first cleats I ever did for him were in the top 10 NFL cleats of that week or whatever it was, all in the whatever. So I was starting to see this kind of, making waves. I was like, all right, I might got something here. But it really, the first thing I caught as the real first milestone was my first promotional deal that I kind of did. And the first thing that kind of got me some juice on Instagram, because I was on IG long before I was on YouTube. So that first thing that got me on Instagram and got me, got the ball rolling basically was I hit up, I think I hit up India Love Westbrook. I think it was the first person I hit up to send shoes to, because I was like, who wants free stuff? Well, IG models and whatnot want free stuff all the time. So I was like, let me find some of them that'll actually respond and actually do what I want to do and send something to, right? So I sent them some stuff, sent her some stuff. She put it up like the next day or whatever it was, which is rare because most people that you send shit to, they'll just take it and run, they'll dip, so you got to kind of, I learned later, you had to factor in that like 50% or more of what you sending out, you ain't never going to see nothing for. So just be prepared to spend some money to make some money. But that's business, in general. So sent it to her. She put it up on the first gram. I thought my phone was going to explode with all the notifications that are coming in. I mean, back now it looks like nothing, but like, when you're going from people liking, 50 likes on a picture or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden now, I'm seeing 800, 900 likes on this picture, just because she put this thing up, and I'm like, dang, like I'm gonna have to put my phone in airplane mode. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this clout, you know what I'm saying? So basically, I got my first kind of shout out from there. I went from, I think it was like 2,000 followers to like 5,000 after the end of the next day after she put up whatever. And then she had her sister get a pair and put, not Brie, Morgan put a pair up. I went from 5 to 10,000 just like that, in like a week. And I was like, this is the way to go. So I realized that this is how you have to do it. You have to start hitting people up, hitting managers up. But that was my first indication that like, yo, like I can really like build a brand. And like, I mean, when I really looked at it, when I first started this, I told myself, even if you're tattooing or if you're doing shoes, the end goal is the same thing. You basically got to make yourself a celebrity. That's the only way you're going to be able to get people to buy stuff at these exorbitant rates where you're going to make any money off any of this stuff. You're going to have to do it. So how do you turn yourself into a celebrity from nothing, basically in your basement? Is one of those things I had to kind of figure out, was like, how do you even do that? So this is the first strategy I tried, the first one that kind of worked out. And then I did the same thing, a couple weeks later, and I'm sitting at, the BET, taping up in New York with the Migos and Tiana Taylor, handing them shoes after they're done. And I was like, this is how you do it. It's the first major thing I had going on. And, it all just kind of snowballed down the hill from there.
Bet that. And everyone listening out there, like, it's the first step. You have to grind, and you have to realize that there's other avenues. You just can't be a designer and design and just hope someone's going to fall across your page. You have to work and constantly work in different avenues that you probably don't expect to do it, but it's part of the business. Like, so just big ups to you for just doing that and really finding your way to becoming where you are today. But while we're on the topic, what's your favorite shoe to design?
I don't know that there's like a favorite like individual shoe to design. I mean, I'd say probably maybe something like depending on the colorway. It really depends on the colorway too that you're getting for these people. But I'd say maybe like some kind of Kobe's or maybe like my favorite, for obvious, reasons now for in particular. But if I wasn't picking Kobe's, actually it'd be one of the unique shoes that most people probably don't wear that much or didn't realize, but it's actually my favorite shoe. And it's like the best canvas for like painting shoes is actually the Westbrook Why Not ones. The 1.0s are actually like my favorite because they're just like a full smooth, full canvas that you can basically do whatever you want with on the whole entire thing. When you paint it, you're like painting the entire shoe with like, I could do portrait pieces, anime stuff, all the whole nine, and it'll look just like it's printed like that. So it's one of my favorite shoes between that or just some standards, like Air Force Ones, basic stuff.
Dang, and what's your creative process like?
The creative process is pretty simple. I'm not one of those guys that like, I like to have input on what I'm doing. I'm not really like a copy machine per se. So although I kind of am in some aspects, but you have to be able to be a copy machine to a little bit to be able to do this. But basically, like I like to have some kind of input. I always tell people that I'm working with that like, hey, I want you to have input as well, though. I want it to be a partnership that we're doing together. So we make a product that I know you're interested in, you'll be fully enthusiastic about in the whole nine, and you're not getting surprised unless you want to be. Or, but I also know that what I'm putting down is something that I would wear myself. So I get that kind of influx. So it's really I try to make it about 50-50. So I try to get some base pointers from, the guys that I'm working with. Say if it's a John Morant, he'll send me a list. It'll be a shoe one, I want black, green, and red, main color black. And like, I'll go from there and do whatever I do with it. And like, we'll just come up with whatever we come up with. So I try to take that and then try to think, how many shoes have I done in black, green, and blue or whatever you just said? All right, I did this one last time like that. I did the one before that like this. So let me go ahead and I never put a swoosh backwards though on a one. So like, let me put this one backwards, or let me find a way to do the swoosh as a lightning bolt this time instead of something else, or whatever. It just depends on what we're doing. I kind of tweak it and tailor it so everybody gets that one of one piece, get something made specifically for them with some kind of personalization in between somewhere if they want that. And then otherwise, I just kind of, like I said, I try to make sure they have some kind of input though, so it's kind of a joint project between us.
Dang. And how long does it usually take from them giving you the list and saying, okay, I want this, and this, to actually getting it back? Because I could imagine with some people, it's probably like, can we get it back ASAP? Can we get it back like for this show or for this game? So like, what's it like for that turnover time for you?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's not really some people. It's everybody wants they shoot tomorrow. I mean, they all just envision that like they're the only thing I have on the table. Nobody realizes I have all this other stuff going on. So, but yeah, it's one of those things I've always struggled with. Getting into this. Ever since I got kind of the first little bit of juice and people started figuring out the product and started ordering. I went from having not enough. How am I going to pay for it? Whatever this is. In the first couple of months, to dang, like I got 150 orders. In 2 months or whatever, and I got. Now I have to sit here and do all of these, and they all want them within 3 weeks or whatever it is. Like, what I'm saying? So like, or whatever the list was. So like, it's figuring out that balance of how many orders can you take, how many can you actually do, and how does the time work, is really difficult. But nowadays I get a lot of assistance for that, from my team members. I've got my personal assistant, her name's Mimi. She actually helps me with all the stuff that I got to do, schedule wise, keeps everything in line on who's the most angry today and who's the least angry today, and how do we rearrange this for who needs to go when. Oh, John needs 4 pairs by the playoffs for this, or he needs this, or Giddy needs this, or somebody needs something all the time. So it's really just figuring out the order and what's most important priority wise. And then orders that come in, I've changed my process on how that works now. So everything that comes in will automatically have to be out by 2 weeks, or I won't take the order. So if I can't fit in the schedule in between them, we don't take the order. So nowadays we're trying to open the slots up so we take maybe 5 or 10 a month, which is drastically different than what I was doing before when I was just doing orders. But like I said, now we're getting different types of bags for different types of shoes, and we're getting content money and all this other stuff. So I don't have as much time to just be sitting here painting shoes for people. So it's always difficult because you always get those little kids that hey, do you make shoes just for Ja Morant, or can I order some too, or blah blah blah. And I'm like, if you had Ja Morant money, you could order them too, just like he does. So it's one of those things that, I like looking out for the kids. I try to do what I can and do a lot of giveaways and all the other stuff to kind of keep that, product available for people who want to have some kind of Sierato product. But, I can only do so much. So it's always a struggle.
Dang. And being on a busy schedule like that, what do you do in your free time? Like when you're like, okay, I don't like, I just can't create today. What do you do? Is it like a walk? Is it fishing? Is it running? Like,
yeah, I mean, I try to vary it up a little bit. So, I mean, if there's outside people telling me like, yo, you got to pull up this bar, do whatever, yada, yada. Like, if I got time, I'll try to make it happen. It's one of the benefits of, owning your own business and doing your own, I can set my own hours and, be out when I need to be out, or go where I need to go, or do what I want to do. So if there's something important or something really fun to do, I try to make the time to do it. And if it's not, then, you'll catch me 7 a.m., still sitting downstairs painting these shoes, so back to back to back. It's just really what you have to do. I mean, that's the life of owning a business. It's a lot harder than working at Walmart or anywhere else, or having a boss telling you what to do. I mean, you got to, when you wake up in the morning, your whole job is figuring out how you're going to make money today. If you haven't made money today, you better figure out a way to do it, because, you ain't making no money tomorrow neither, unless you go out and figure out how you're going to make that money today. So really it's all on you and it's all on your back. So you really just figure out that balance, like I said. So I have a lot of assistants, I have a lot of team members now, I have a lot of people that help me out and make, me, so I have free time available. And a lot of times they have where they tell me I have to go out and do something else because you've already been working for the last 5, 6, 7, 8 days straight, or whatever it is. Like, go out and do something. So if I get some free time, or at the end of the day, I'll sit here, I'll hop on the PS5 and, play some games or whatever, chill out. And if, I'm getting out of town or out of whatever, I'll go to the gym. I hoop 3, 4 times a week, hopefully, if I can get out there that much. But, try to hoop 3, 4 times anyway. It depends on the schedule. But, between basketball or playing the game or chilling or going to the movies, something like that, basic, simple stuff, walking around and coming back.
Man, that's the way to do it. You got to enjoy the free time. Got to take that break, because that health as well. So another thing that I want to talk about is a lot of designers like getting into the game and really getting into your feet in the sand. A lot of designers have to deal with the problem of people trying to take their ideas, or people trying to make something that's a replica of their stuff. And like, even Googling you the last few weeks, I've noticed that people will be like, hey, like this shoe is from you, like this shoe is from your brand. So what is it like trying to deal with that legally and really like finding that out and getting into those problems? What's that like? Because I don't think a lot of people trying to be designers really realize that you have to deal with that as well.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. I mean, it's really, really, really difficult. It's just something that, at some capacity, you just have to accept that you're gonna, if you're doing something good, somebody's gonna rip it off. Like somebody's gonna want whatever you're doing if it looks halfway decent. So I try to take it as a compliment for most cases. The people you're talking about in particular, thanks to y'all for even saying something about it, because there's way more people that rip my shit off and don't say nothing about it. So I've dealt with that much more than I do with I don't, if you credit me in some kind of way, have at it. I consider it free game on the internet. One of those things that I've come, like I said, I've come to that realization for is that, I'm just, everything I do, I'm just going to assume somebody's going to try to do whatever it is after I've done it. If I don't really want you to be able to do it, like my rose print or something along those lines, that like one of my signature designs, I don't really want people to know how to do. Then I just won't put it on YouTube or whatever else, or I won't put it in full capacity so you can't see all the steps that are required. If you have to take that extra step to really figure it out, it's a lot harder to rip something off, even if you've seen it. So a lot of people think that like my YouTube videos, especially my earlier ones, are like tutorial videos, and they're not really tutorials. They're really just showcasing what I was doing and how I was doing it for whatever order that happened to be. So we're actually going to get to dropping full tutorials, so you guys can just go ahead, take that free game and do what you got to do. And you don't have to wonder how I did it. I'll just tell you, what I'm saying? Because like I said, after I came up with, I don't know which one is more ripped off, to be honest, between the Air Max drips or the Galaxy Print drips. Honestly, like they're just all over the place. I mean, if you just type in custom Air Max on Etsy, I mean, literally like half the people on there just ripping my shit off. Like it's whatever. Like, and I don't even bother with it at this point. I mean, there's really no reconciliation. There's really no what's the word? There's no retribution you can really have legally for some of this stuff, just because artwork is artwork. I mean, it's the same reason Nike or whoever can't really just sue me for painting their shoes and do whatever. I mean, once I bought the shoes and I do whatever I want with them, if I paint them however I paint them, it's not like you did it, So unless it's literally putting my name on the shoe, it's kind of hard to police that kind of stuff. So you kind of just got to take it with a grain of salt that, hey, if you're really good at it, people are going to know the originals, they're going to buy it. And trust me, I don't have no problem selling my originals. So people who think they're ripping it off, they're not really doing that great of a job for the most case, So if you're just taking the inspiration and tweaking it into something how you would present it, more power to you. Because the way I look at it, nothing under the sun is original, nothing is new. People have been around on this planet for thousands and thousands of years, and whatever you're doing, somebody else already came up with it. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel whenever I do a piece. Most of the stuff I've done was taken off of inspiration from somebody else as well. For a lot of my OGs in the game, like I said, those Kikasos, those Moshes, those other people like that were around back then, showing me how to do some stuff, even like the Des Customs of the world or whoever that are around, who I may not even personally like that much, but like I said, I have respect for the work. So like I said, a lot of these guys showed me the way when I was coming up, and when I was in the customizer groups doing this stuff and figuring out how you do this, how you do that, the heads of paint companies telling me, hey, maybe you should try doing this, or maybe you should do that, or whatever. So a lot of people help me out. It's one of those things that it's a very difficult business to get into in the first place, just because when I started doing it, especially, there weren't guys like me on YouTube showing you really how to do a lot of this stuff. A lot of this, I had to just trial and error. I had to figure it out. I couldn't call up whoever and ask them, because they're trying to make money doing whatever they're doing too. They're not going to just tell you how they're doing whatever, for the most part. So I try to take that kind of teacher role sort of nowadays, or showcase role per se, and really try to just, like I said, if I put it up there, I assume somebody's going to get some inspiration from it and do whatever they're going to do. So I don't really look at it one type of way. It's really just people like on Etsy or Alibaba or AliExpress. I mean, people like that are just booting. I mean, I've had people clone my website 4 or 5 times, like stuff like that. We're like just literally like doing sponsored ads across Instagram with my hand in the picture holding the video, but it goes to somebody else's website. I mean, all types of stuff. So so you just got to do what you got to deal with it. I mean, how are you going to run something down in Bangladesh that's doing whatever? I mean, you're not going to. So I mean, unless you want to spend more money than you ever made making the shoe in the first place, it's not really worth it. So until Nike decides to rip me off, I'm probably just let it slide. But everybody else, like I said, it's just free game. Do what you can with it. Just try to make it your own thing. That's all I ask.
Facts. And everyone out there that's listening, if you try looking at and getting some of those shoes, don't be upset when the patches start falling off, when you start trying to wash it, wearing in the puddles and the paint starts falling off. If you really want the quality, you have to pay the ticket. You have to do that. And it means more. It really does mean more if you get it from you. So where can our listeners find you at on social media and see the shoes you've done, the shoes you're currently doing, and the shoes that you're going to be making in the future?
Of course. And just to play off that last, tab, but just, their sentence a little bit. One thing I like to say, it always stems from tattooing as well. It's something we used to say at the shop all the time, is you get what you pay for. So if you want a $50 tattoo, trust me, you can get a $50 tattoo, whatever that lion face, whatever it is that you want, but it ain't gonna look like the $1,000 one that he got from, Hurtado. It ain't gonna look like that. So whatever you cool with, if you see somebody's work and you think, hey, that's good enough for me, I want to spend money on that, I want to do whatever, have at it, you know what I'm saying? But trust me, you know, if it's not his original work, you know, there's somebody out there doing it better that you could get a better piece from, that's going to last longer, it's going to hold up better, it's going to do whatever. So if you spend that money, you get what you know, get you spend. It's art, you get what you pay for, basically. So but on the side of that, you know, where can you buy that? Of course, you know, Sierato is all the socials. So just look up Sierato, Sierato. Sierato.com will also take you to my new website, which is for my clothing line, Artist Echelon, which is starting to drop pieces as well. But also that's where I exclusively sell all of my works at now. So artistechelon.com is the way to go. I'll make sure, you know, I'll forward you guys the link for that so you can let them know wherever they want to do that, if they want to spell it out or whatever. But like I said, go to my Instagram. You'll find all the links for all this stuff as well. Plus, you know, the stores are on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can buy whatever you want as well. So YouTube, Sierato as well. YouTube is more importantly where you guys are going to want to be paying attention to coming up forward, because like I said, I've basically taken like a year and a half. It's almost like 2 year, really, it's like 2 year hiatus from YouTube, really making videos. But we're about to start coming back strong. I mean, as you guys can see behind me, if you guys aren't looking, I mean, I'm sitting in the green screen room. It's a fully built out, brand new green screen room now. We got in the last couple of weeks, and we've been filming a bunch of new content. We got a bunch of new tutorials, how-to videos, TikTok review videos for, you know, all you guys making shoes on TikTok, thinking I don't see whatever y'all are doing. People be sending me this stuff. I'm gonna start talking about some of this stuff that y'all be doing on here, man. So if it's not good, you know, don't take it personally. But, you know, like I said, I'm also gonna be doing a custom review section. So if you out there make your own customs and you want me to give you some advice, review it, showcase what you're doing, I'm gonna be taking about 10 of those a month for people to send me products for me to showcase, review, give you advice on. And then the best product in there, I'm gonna give gift cards to, so you guys can go get some more supplies, more materials, whatever it is. And I'm gonna showcase you on the website, social media, the whole nine, as the artist of the month, the whole nine. Like, we're gonna roll out a bunch of new initiatives and a new content plan for a lot of stuff this year. So make sure you stay tuned, because by the end of the year, you know, it's gonna be a lot of new content on there. You're not gonna want to miss a lot of it. So make sure y'all check it out.
Facts. And everyone out there listening, there's a chance to get free game and a chance to see what one of the best in the game is doing. So take advantage of it. You know, a lot of artists out there, a lot of designers out there, and even people that are just looking for motivation to grind. Go check out that YouTube, go check out that Instagram, and really pick up the game, because a lot of dope designers aren't giving back to the community. So if you see one like Sierato giving back to the community, take advantage of that and really learn, take the opportunity to learn. So everyone out there, go check them out on social media, go check them out on YouTube, and just go check out some dope artwork and free game. And with that being said, thank you for being on the podcast.
Of course. I appreciate you having me on there. You know, of course, last but not least, make sure y'all go get your merch, like LaMelo said. You know, we dropping a lot of Sierato merch nowadays, so make sure y'all go cop that too. It's on the website. What's good, guys? It's your boy Sierato, and you guys are checking me out on the Love of It podcast. Keep watching.